Hi everybody, and welcome to Jewell Family Farm. So today I've been out in the yard and before I mowed, and I was letting the dandelions grow up because I wanted to make some salve with it. So I went out and I picked some dandelions, and so this is what I picked. Picked all these little heads of dandelions off, and I'm going to take them off of this little green part here. And all I'll do is I grab the flowers like this, and I just kind of put my fingernail in the bottom of it right here and just pull, and they just come off. And see, and I'm just gonna, once I get them all pulled off, I'm gonna just spread them out over this and let them dry out just a little bit, just enough to get some of the moisture off of them from the morning. And then I went out in the garden and I picked some, my dogs are eating right behind the camera, so if you hear a bunch of crunching, that's my dogs. But anyway, I went out and I picked some lemon balm. So I thought I would, while I'm making the sap, letting this set, you know, I would put some of this in there and give it a lemon scent. So it's just lemon balm from the garden. So I'm just going to pick all of these off and let them dry while I'm out mowing this morning. And I'm just going to spread them out on the table like this and just let the dew come off of them, the extra water that was on them. And then once I get done mowing, I'll be back in, and these should be dry enough. Okay, so what I've done is I have taken all the greenery off of the little dandelions. So let me show you what that looks like. And I have just kind of tried to spread them out to dry. And so then I went out in the garden. I got some lemon balm. It's been laying in here for a little while, so it's kind of wilted down. But I'm just going to pull off the leaves of my lemon balm. And I'm just going to lay them out to dry. And I'm going to use the lemon balm mostly just to scent the salve. I am going to go out into the garden and get some Comfrey to put in this salve. So I kind of like a little bit of healing properties in with this, just for rough hands or dry hands. It kind of, or if you got little cuts or, you know, little places on your hands that are little sores or whatever, that Comfrey will help, you know, heal that up. So I'm going to put that in there, and I'm thinking about going out and getting some plantain out of the yard. It grows wild, and it's got a lot of great healing properties in it also. So I think I'll run out and get a little bit of that, and then I'm going to cut it all up and let it lay here on this and let it dry for just a little bit today. And then I'm going to cut it all up and put it in some jars. I'm going to add some oils to it. I think I have some avocado oil that I'm thinking about using. You can use coconut oil, or you can use olive oil. I wouldn't use the virgin olive oil though, just plain olive oil, because the virgin olive oil, it might go bad faster than just regular olive oil because it's been less processed. So you know, you don't want your oils to go rancid. So I'm sorry about the light. So anyway, I'm going to do that, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so here I went out in the garden and got some plantain, and this is what it looks like. It's just a giant leaf. Now this you have to plant from seed, and I think I got the seed from Baker Creek, and so it comes back. Once you plant it, it does spread. So if you need to put it in a place where you don't mind it spreading, and it just keeps coming back year after year after year. So anyway, then out in the yard there is plantain, Now, you've probably seen this, but you might not have known what it is. And there's two different kinds of plantain. You have this kind that's a broadleaf. Now, I know you all have seen this before, growing wild out in your yard. Or they have these long, slender plantain plants. They got these nice big ridges in them. Pretty and green. And then this one has the ridges also, and they're just more slender. And if you get stung out in the yard, or you're out someplace you can't get, no place to get some ice or whatever you do for a bee sting, you can chew this up. You can chew it up, make it real wet and everything. Then you can take it, and it'll be like macerated as you chew it up and everything. And you just take it and you lay it on your bee sting or your bite or whatever it is. Also, if you have a cut of some kind, you can pick these up, and you also can chew them up and put it on your cut, or you just use it for a bandage on a cut and hold it. And it really does a good job of stopping little small bleeds, like if you were to, scrape yourself on a briar, or, how you put fencing up and you get scratched when you're putting fencing up, or chicken wire or anything like that, and you get scratched and you get a little bit of a bleed on there. You can slap that on there and hold it for a few minutes, and this here will help stop the bleeding. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just cut this stuff up. And the plantain, it really does have a lot of good healing properties for salves and stuff like that. And so it's just an added bonus, to put into your salves. So I'm just going to take all of these, the broadleaf ones, and just put them together. And I'm just going to take my scissors and cut them all up. Doesn't really matter if you separate them out or not, because it's all plantain. Just one's broadleaf, one's a slender one. So I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to cut it up into little pieces, just so that the healing properties will come through and infuse in the oils when I put them down in the oils. I'm going to throw these big pieces, the ends, away, because they would just kind of take quite a bit of time to infuse. Alright, so just take all these little slender ones. I just went and grabbed a bunch with my hand and just cut them off. But anyway, just cut them up too, making this all go in the same pile, because they're all going to go in the same jar. Now, if you want to dry these herbs, you can separate them, keep them separate, and dry them, like really dry them out, and then you can store them in canning jars. You could put them in jars, and then when you want to make salve, you just pull your handful of dried leaves out. But for what I'm going to do, I'm just making a giant amount of this, because I have people that like this, so I'm making a huge amount. So just take all your stuff and just cut it up. It doesn't really have to be separated for what I'm doing today. I'll cut some comfrey up. Now, you don't have to put these big stems in there if you don't want to. You can pull them off and throw them away and just do it like that, like you do greens. This comfrey is good for a lot of different things too. It's also good to feed to the animals. Just for extra vitamins and extra food for your animals. You can do a Google search on comfrey and find out a whole lot more information. I'm not going to put that big old thing in there. Comfrey has a really pretty flower on top too, and they flower out really early, like mine are flowered out right now, and they've got the prettiest purple flower on the tops of them. Comfrey's a really popular thing right now with homesteaders and people that are trying to make some of their more natural remedies, old-time remedies. So Comfrey's really popular right now. I don't want these big old leaves, these big old stems in there. I'm just going to tear them. They got a lot of juice in them. I can feel the juice coming out of the stems. The littler ones I don't mind keeping, but I don't want the great big ones. All right, a couple more here. There's a lot of things you can find that just grows in your yard that you can use for if you do some Google search on it. Oh, too bad that wasn't a 4-leaf clover. I haven't found a 4-leaf clover this year. I haven't really been down there looking really hard though either, but once in a while when I go through the little clover patch that I have down there, I'll stop and kind of look through it for a couple of minutes on my way back up to the house. That's always kind of fun. I used to look for 4-leaf clovers a lot when I was a little kid. It was a lot of fun to find one, and then we'd take it and press it in our Bible. I probably have all kinds of 4-leaf clovers in my Bible when I was little. I still have my Bible from when I was little, but I don't think I have any 4-leaf clovers in there right now. I know I have a rose in there that I pressed in between the pages. I think it was from my daughter's wedding. But that's always fun to do, I thought, when we were kids. Alright, so I'm just going to spread this out a little bit for right now. I want these dandelions to just dry a little bit more. Just get as much moisture out before I put them in the oil. And these here you can also cut up smaller if you want to. If you want to cut those up. That's the lemon balm. You don't have to put lemon balm in it. Like I said, I'm just doing it for the scent because it really smells like a fresh lemon. It smells really good. And lemon balm comes back every year also. I have it planted down in the garden. I have a great big bunch of it. My daughter gave me a little starting of it. And then we accidentally mowed it down, and then but it still came back this year, and now it's massive. It's about that big around out there in the garden. So but it has such a good smell to it, and it's so fragrant. It really does smell like a fresh lemon, like you just cut a lemon. So that'll make this salve smell really good, I hope. Alright, so I'm just going to let these sit here for about an hour or so, just to make sure that these dandelions, you know, lose a lot of their moisture. And I just have them laid out on it looks like a diaper, You can buy these at Walmart. I've showed these to you before. And you get them over there where the dish towels and things are at, and you get like, I forgot how many is in a package, but it's really cheap. I think it's like under $10 for like 6 or 8 of these, I think. But it's just like a cloth diaper, how we used to have cloth diapers back in the day. And that's all it is. So anyway, I'm just gonna let this stuff lay here for a few minutes, and I'll get my big old jar out, and I'm gonna go back here and figure out what kind of oils that I have that I want to use. Alright, I'll be back in a few minutes. So while I'm waiting on that to dry, I wanted to show you something here that my mom gave me. Now look at that. Now it was white, and I've painted it. It's an old Hoosier cabinet. Hope you can see it. But I painted it, and then on the inside, I did a little bit of a little gray on the inside. and I think it looks really, really nice. I have a little bit more to do down here on the bottom. I want to put another coat on it. I haven't done that yet. But it does have down in the very bottom down here, it has the flower bin down here, the tin flower bin. It doesn't have the sifter with it. The sifter would have went up here in this top part right here. Over here, the sifter would have went in here, and then it had a little, it would fold it down, you put your flour in it, you push it back up, and then it had a little knob, it had a little, what do you call it, I don't know, a little sifter thing at the bottom, and you'd turn it, and your flour would come out into your bowl that you were going to make your biscuits in. But this one don't have one, but I'm still tickled to death with it, and so I think it turned out really nice. And I think what I'm going to do with this part here, I think I'm going to paint it gray to match the inside of the cabinets. But it still looks pretty just with the white. It matches the top of it here. But I think I'm going to do it gray. But I just wanted to show you that. I was really proud of that, and I was really excited that my mom gave it to me. Okay, so these have been dry for a little while. I'm going to go ahead and put them in my jar. And so I got a big 32, I think it's 32 ounces. I think that's what it is. That's a great big, one of the great big mason jars. And I'm just going to start putting my flowers in here. And just kind of mixing it. Putting a little bit of this and a little bit of that, like a lasagna. Maybe I'll just try to put it up into a pile. Just throw it in there. This is going to make a good amount. But it'll make a lot of salve. I have a lot of people that are probably going to want this. You know, trying to get into more natural things that you can grow yourself. Well, I've been doing that for a while now, but I try to use as many natural things as possible. My mom bought me this little kit one time that I got once a month in the mail, and you could make little things with it. Like sewing too, and I've always sewn quilts, and I used to sew for my sister when she was little. I'd make these little outfits for her to wear, and crochet and knit and all that stuff. I always liked doing all kinds of crafts. So it's just always been part of my life of doing things like that. Okay. Now I'm just going to take some of this sunflower oil that I got. You can get it anywhere, any grocery store. I'm just going to use it. I'm just going to pour that in there. It's going to take a lot. So I want it to cover. So I'm going to let that sit there till it works in all the nooks and crannies. Shake it around a little bit. Let me get a top. I'll get a top for it. See, it's working down. It was covered, but now it's not. So I'll pour some more in. It takes quite a bit. So, all right, I'm gonna put the top on this. I'm just gonna turn it upside down a couple of times. Turn it around and around. You can see the bubbles coming out of it. It's pretty in the jar though, isn't it? See those bubbles coming up? Alright, so we'll have to put some more on there because it's done worked its way down in. You want it covered. We're going to leave this sit in this jar for about 10 days in a warm spot. Shake it around a little bit. Let all that stuff work. There's still bubbles coming up. Let's see, I'm going to add the rest of it and then that'll, so for this much, this is a lot. This will make a lot. I'm just going to go ahead and cover, use the rest of it up. So that took, this big thing took, see it's almost the size of this. And this is one of those big ones, this sunflower oil. I just got it at Walmart. Alright, I'm going to put this in a sunny place, probably over here above the window. And I'm going to let this set for 7 days until it infuses and makes this nice oil. And then I'll come back and we'll make some salve out of it. Alright. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to do was put the date on here. Today's the 17th. Now you can leave this in here up to 2 weeks, up to 14 days, but I wouldn't leave it any longer than that because I don't know how long the oils will stay good, and you don't want your oils to go rancid. So I'm going to try to do mine the 17th. Let's see, I think I'm going to have to do it on a Friday, so it might go to 10 days before I get to making my salve, but seems like there was something else I wanted to tell you. Oh well. Alright then. Okay, so we're back after 9 days, and this has been sitting in this jar for 9 days, and I've taken it and I've turned it up, you know, several times during the process and kept it mixed up really good. So now I'm going to strain it. Alright, so I have just a bowl and a strainer, and I have this piece of it's like an old, you know, the way diapers used to be. It's like that, and you get it at Walmart, and I use this for a whole lot of things, but it's just a piece of cotton. You can use cheesecloth or muslin, whatever you want to use, but I'm just going to put this in this strainer, and I'm going to pour this mixture on here and let it drain off into this bowl. Now this was dandelion petals, comfrey, plantain, and lemon balm that I had mixed all together and covered it with sunflower oil, and it's been setting for 9 days, like I said. So I'm just gonna let this drain out, and then once this is finished, I'll come back and I'll show you the recipe for making this salve. Okay, so I have let this drain out, and I'm going to pick it up and just kind of squeeze the rest of it out. Try to get as much out as I can. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out how much oil I have. That's 4. About 5 cups of oil. Try to get as much as I can out of here. Alright, so that's 5 cups of oil. So this recipe goes per cup. So I'm going to put this into a double boiler, yes, on the stove and heat it up very, not slowly, but just heat it up where it's not bubbling or anything, like just a slow heat, okay? I don't have a double boiler, so I'm just going to make my own. So I just have a plain pot with another pot that doesn't have a handle. I'm just going to set it on top of that. I'm going to put some hot water in this. Turn it on high. I'm going to let this come up to a simmer before I put this on top. Okay, so I've let this water heat up. I'm going to put this on top. I've got my eye turned down to 1 because I don't want it to be real hot. I'm just going to pour this in. Pour the oils in. I'm going to let them heat up a little bit. I'm going to let those heat up so that it gets warm enough where it'll melt the wax, the beeswax that I'm going to put in here. Get a scale. And I'm going to chop up some beeswax. Okay, so I have some beeswax that we got from our bees. And I'm going to use that. Now, if you don't have beeswax from your bees, you can buy this beeswax off of Amazon. This is organic beeswax. Well, this is organic too because it comes right from our bees. So I need 100 grams of this. I want to cut it up fairly thin so it'll melt easier. I'm just going to chop this up and I'm going to start weighing it out. So I need to make sure that my scale has grams on it and not ounces. So you can change your scale to grams. Okay, let me get something to lay this on. I'm just going to use a paper plate. So you put your whatever container you're going to use on your scale, and you make sure that when you put that on there, you want your let me pull you up here where you can see. You want your scale to be at 0. So see, it says 16 grams. So you want to push tare. And then that'll bring it up to 0. Then you measure your wax onto that. So we're going to start putting some wax up here. And we want 100 grams. You can cut this wax any way you want to. I just try to keep it as small as possible so it'll melt down faster. The bigger chunk it is, the longer it takes to melt down. I rendered this wax from our bees. It smells really good. It has a really nice fragrance to it. The bees' hives always smell so good. They're very clean critters. When you open up the hives to check on your bees, the hive smells really good. Okay, got a little bit more than I need, so got to take some off until it gets to 100. Okay, that's 100. All right. Now we need 100 grams of shea butter. So you want to go ahead and tear your scale back to 0. You can leave that on there. Just tear it back to 0. Start adding some of this shea butter on here. You can also get this off of Amazon. Or I got this one from Essential Depot. But I think they sell it on Amazon too. And put beeswax in, let it be melting down. You want it all to get dissolved before you add the next thing. So put that in. Alright, so while that's melting down, we're going to get our essential oils going. Since we have 5 cups of oil, so I'm going to use all of that. You need 240 drops of essential oil. So you pick and choose what essential oil you want. So you can pick and choose what essential oil that you want. And I'm kind of wanting an oil that has some properties for dry skin. My grandkids have eczema a little bit on their hands, so I want something that's that heals. And so what I'm going to go with some tea tree oil, just because it's got nice healing properties to it. And then since I used the lemon balm from the garden and I infused it in the oils, I'm going to use lemon essential oil, and I'm also going to put just a little bit of peppermint in there. Let's see. Yeah, peppermint, tea tree oil, and lemon. So those are the 3 ones that I'm going to use. And we need 240 drops altogether. Now, if you're going to use more than, one fragrance, if you're going to use more than one essential oil, you have to split that up and figure out. So you need 240 drops altogether for 5 cups of oil. So, you can divide that by 3 or divide it by 2, whatever you want to do as far as your essential oils go. So I'm going to split this up into 3s. So that's what I'm going to do. So 240 divided by 3 is 80 drops. So I need 80 drops of each to go into this. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's it. Okay, let's finish this up and get this melted down. I'm going to have to turn this up a little bit more. You want all this to melt down before you put the next part in. Alright, so let's put the shea butter in. Let this melt. So dandelions is good for like aching muscles and arthritis. And then I put some plantain in it, which is good for, it enhances wound healing and anti-inflammatory. And then the Comfrey, it heals wounds also, and it helps with stings and inflammation. And then the lemon balm is for stress and anxiety. So I just kind of made like an all-purpose little salve here is what I'm going for. And then also you know, to help my grandkids' eczema on their hands. And plus they like the scent of the tea tree oil and the mint and the lemon together. I made some lotion that had that in it, and the kids really liked that and they like to use it, so I thought, well, I'll do that again in a salve, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, so here is the end product of the salve that we made, and has a really pretty color, and it turned out really well. I did have to add a little bit more of the beeswax to it, so I used the beeswax that I had bought, the organic beeswax. The first time when I finished, I could see that it wasn't going to set up real well, so I added some more of the store-bought beeswax to it, and then that did really, it set up pretty good then. So anyway, there it is, and that's the end product. And so here's the little lid that goes on top, and it looks pretty nice. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you try it. It's easy to make your own salves and lotions and things like that, so give it a try. It's fun to make. It made 15 small jars. And anyway, take care, count your blessings, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye all.